This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, people coming in. There's Todd. Excellent.
Of course. Just as we start, they have good timing. Okay, so I want to have this screen up. Hopefully you're switched to the Cayman Islands. Box over here. I'm working from 2 screens, so hopefully you can see. Let's go to the Cayman Islands.
I see that.
Perfect. Well, if we're ready, I guess I can start. Are we ready?
Yeah, hopefully
Thumbs up.
some others may jump in, and that's fine.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, if you do not know already, everybody, we are planning to go to the Cayman Islands. So a little bit about myself to start off with. If my screen will catch up with me here, come on up, move along. There we go. So I actually lived in Grand Cayman for 10 years. I left in 2016 to live in cold and snowy Wisconsin, where I still am. But I have been in the dive industry for well over 12 years. I wrote this a little while ago. So it's been a while. But I have been with Clearly Cayman Dive Resorts for just a few years, 2 years now. I have been with them. So I'm fairly knowledgeable about Grand Cayman, especially just because of my time living and diving there. So one of the things we need to start thinking about is getting to Grand Cayman. Grand Cayman is a fairly accessible destination, I would say. We have non-stops from all over the US, but the majority of our flights actually do come from Southern Florida, from either Miami, we have Fort Lauderdale, and we also have Tampa. So plenty of hubs to choose from to get down to Grand Cayman. When you are ready to book your flights, the airport code is GCM, as you can see up at the top there. And we were really lucky that just before COVID kind of stopped the world, Owen Roberts International Airport had actually just gone through a major expansion and renovation. The government spent millions in renovating the airport and enlarging it. And so for that reason, it's a nice shiny new airport that really hasn't been used very much since we've been closed due to COVID. But we're slowly getting back on track in terms of reopening. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So if you are not familiar with the Cayman Islands, there are 3 islands that make up this British Overseas Territory. Because we are a British Overseas Territory, a passport is required to travel to the islands. Grand Cayman is the largest of the 3 islands. It is most famous because it is the tourism hub, and there's many activities to do both on top and obviously underneath the water too. You can see from this map image that Grand Cayman is surrounded by a beautiful wall pretty much the whole way around the island, which makes for fantastic diving. We do have 2 other islands. Cayman Brac is the most easterly island, and then we have Little Cayman. Cayman Brac is just 12 miles long and a mile wide. And it has about 1,000 residents on the island, maybe 1,500. The island of Cayman Brac suits, I guess, a more adventurous person. The activities that you can find in Cayman Brac are a lot more to do with the hidden caves that we have. There's lots of nature trails. It's got a really unique cultural history. And it has a 140-foot bluff on the eastern end, and that bluff attracts rock climbers and people looking to rappel off a giant rock. The island of Little Cayman is probably the most famous when it comes to scuba diving. It is the home of Bloody Bay Wall. It truly is a little island. The airport, post office, and fire station are all housed in the one building. And there is one shop and one bank on the island. So definitely, if you're looking for a true island escape, Little Cayman is the one for you. So that's a little bit about our islands. You can see them there that clearly Cayman is lucky to have a dive resort on each of the 3 islands. And we're lucky enough to be going to the first one, which is Cobalt Coast. So before I go on to talk about Cobalt Coast directly, I put together some fun facts that you may not know about the Cayman Islands. I know some people have been there before, but I always think it's fun to share some crazy knowledge that I have gathered throughout my time. The Cayman Islands are not actually islands at all. It's part of a mountain range that lives underwater called the Cayman Ridge, and it rises to almost 25,000 feet. So that is actually the size of a very large mountain in the Himalayas, and we're just perched right at the top of it. So that's kind of a fun fact. 7 Mile Beach in Grand Cayman is not actually 7 miles long. If you do walk along it, you will find it's only 5.5 miles. So if you're looking for a workout and you start from end to end, you kind of get duped into half a workout. The Cayman Islands are actually home to some of the rarest species of both plants and animals in the world. The Cayman Islands is home to the blue iguana, which was saved from total extinction, and it's also home to the rarest orchid in the world called the ghost orchid. In Little Cayman, it is the largest breeding colony of the red-footed booby. So you can see that we have a ton of nature and other activities for people to enjoy throughout all of our islands. Little Cayman is so little that it just has 197 residents. In fact, the indigenous rock iguana that lives in Little Cayman outweighs the population by tenfold. There's about 2,000 iguanas in the island of Little Cayman, and they actually have the right of way because they are a species that is endangered. So if you are on foot, on a bicycle, in a car, you do have to give way to any little iguana in the middle of the road, which is always fun. And then my last little top tip is there is buried treasure somewhere in the islands of the Cayman Islands. Supposedly, the treasure of Neil Walker, Henry Morgan, and Edward Blackbeard was left behind when pirates occupied the islands in the 18th century. And no one has found it yet. So it's there for the taking, guys. Okay, so Reef Divers is our dive operation that we operate across all 3 of our resorts. Because the dive operation is the same across the 3 resorts, you can expect the same level of superior service across all 3 islands. You are probably familiar with valley style diving, being in southern Florida. We are happy to bring it to the Cayman Islands. Many of our guests return for this reason because we will do all the heavy lifting for you. In fact, our valley style diving starts from the moment you check into the resort. We will give you 2 mesh bags. One will be for your BCD and your reg. The other will just be for you to house whatever other items that you are going to need for your dive. You're going to put your BC and reg outside your front door. Our crew will take them all up and set them all up on the boat. So in the morning, all you need to do is roll out of bed, grab your little mini mesh bag full of your mask and computer and whatever else you need, and head on down to breakfast and then onto the boat. So it's super duper easy. We'll take care of that for you. We have 12 custom built Newtons, probably a very popular dive boat among everybody. I know they're popular in Florida too. So the boats are really spacious. We custom built them to our needs so that we have big platforms on the back of the boat, including 2 benches for you to gear up before you get in the water. And when you get in the water, you're going to have some of the best diving in the Caribbean. At the end of your dives too, the Valley service does not stop. We will take your gear at the end of the day. We will rinse it out, clean it, dry it up in our drying room, and then the next morning we'll put it back on the boat ready for you to come on down for your next dives. So you don't even have to worry about your gear for the entire time you are on the island. So if you haven't been diving in the Cayman Islands before, I have just put together, this is my list of top 5 reasons to dive the Cayman Islands. I'm sure people have varying opinions. But my first one is the visibility. 100 feet is the average, and there are some days that you can go 200 and even as far as the eye can see. It's so clear, the water, because of the geology of the island. It's made up of porous limestone. We have such flat elevation on the island, so we don't have any runoff. And then we're close to the Cayman Trench too, so that's always providing a source of clean and clear water from the depths of the trench. So the visibility is fantastic. You don't need a wetsuit. I have been diving in Scotland before. Scotland is where I'm originally from. And to do a dive in Scotland, you have to suit up with so many layers. It is just incredible. So when I lived in Grand Cayman, for me to just go in the water with just either my bikini and a rash guard, or if it was the winter, a 3mm shorty was just delightful to me. So during the winter months, it's warm between 80 and 85. And then during the summer months, it can be 85 to 90. So obviously very similar to your water there. Me living in cold and snowy Wisconsin, it's still a novelty for me to have warm water. The third thing is our spectacular walls. Grand Cayman has walls surrounding the whole entire island. It provides so many different options for diving. And for that reason, weather really doesn't become an issue because we can dive on all sides of the island, which is really nice. Bloody Bay Wall is probably the most famous wall diving in the Caribbean, and that's over in Little Cayman. Then photography is a fantastic one as well. Because of the calm and clear conditions, very little current as well. I've been diving in Florida, and I know sometimes you can get a little drift going. But usually in the Cayman Islands, it's fairly flat and calm. And for that reason, it's great for photographers, especially people like myself who really like to just hover over a reef and watch it come to life. But for photographers, you can really take the time. Our valley style diving means that all your other gear is set up. You can spend more time worrying about your camera rig. With there being no current, you can really spend more time setting up your shot for it to be perfect. And then we have such a great variety of marine life as well. And speaking of marine life, my fifth reason to dive the Cayman Islands is our friendly marine life. If you've ever been to the Cayman Islands or you even know about it, all of our residents are friendly and welcoming, but none more so than our marine life. We have grouper who will follow you around your whole entire dive. We have really friendly stingrays who, with Stingray City being so close by, they're fairly used to divers and will really get up close and personal with you. There are even some sharks that frequent certain dive sites that will really just, they're just curious about divers and just will follow you along. And when I say sharks, they're nurse sharks. So they're just giant fish. But really, we have some interesting marine life in the Cayman Islands. All right, so we're here to talk about the resort. Our mantra at Clearly Cayman is eat, sleep, dive, repeat, and I'm sure that's one we can all get behind. So let's dive into our trip to Cobalt Coast. So if you're not familiar with the dates yet, you can note it down here. It is January 8th through the 15th of 2022. And this is a nice little overview of our property. We do have shore diving from Cobalt Coast. It is weather dependent, and I'll probably talk about this a little bit later. It is weather dependent, but January can be an okay time for the island. The resort, as you can see, it's actually set on 3 levels. Just be aware that there is no elevator, it is stairs. So if anyone does have any walking issues or anything like that, just let us know ahead of time and we'll be sure to try and grab you a lower level room. You can see from the picture here on the left-hand side is our dive shop located right on the property. We actually have, you can see the little pergola kind of here off to the left. This is our shore diving staging area. We've got rinse tanks, we've got plenty of benches for you to gear up and suit up. So that's just a little overview of the resort. So its location, Cobalt Coast, being in Grand Cayman, we have such a beautiful spot. We are far enough away from everything where it's still quiet and serene, but we're still close enough to 7 Mile Beach where if you're looking for a night on the town, you're looking for the bars and restaurants, they're all within a 10-minute drive. So our location is fantastic. The other great part about our location being on the northwest point is we have access to the north wall as well as the west. The Kittiwake Wreck is really close to the property as well. And then, like I said, we do have shore diving available too. So with the package, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included. For breakfast and lunch, we usually serve it buffet style. We're unsure of how a post-COVID world is going to look, if we can still serve it buffet style or if it will be a la carte. But either way, our chefs are fantastic. Meals are just incredible across all of our properties. And we do little themed evenings as well. So we'll do a barbecue one night, we'll do an Italian night another night. So we mix it up a little bit so you don't have the same thing over and over. If you do need a snack out with the regular kind of meal service, we do have a little bar. You can see it in the picture on the bottom there. Our bar is called Ducky's Bar. And we have some great bartenders on hand to mix up a little craft cocktail, pour you a really cold beer, anything you need. And they do have a snack menu available there too. So you're not going to be hungry during this trip. I guarantee you that. For rooms, as you can see, Cobalt Coast is a really small resort. We only have 21 rooms in total. We do have a variety of different room types to kind of suit different travelers. We have, for our dates, we have secured a few garden view rooms. These rooms have 2 double beds. They do face the parking lot / garden. There is some greenery out there too. But then we also have some 1-bedroom suites secured for you guys as well. The 1-bedrooms have a sea view. They have a king bed or 2 double beds. So if you're sharing with your partner or if it's just your dive buddy friend, we can accommodate it with the bedding there. If you're feeling fancy, then we also have a mermaid suite, which is our penthouse. We can always make that available to you guys too if you're feeling fancy. So here is just a little bit about the diving. Grand Cayman and the 3 islands actually has 365 dive sites, so one for every day of the year. We actually have a little more than that, but we like the 1 a day sort of thing. Grand Cayman being the largest, it has the majority of these dive sites, and there's over 200 in Grand Cayman alone. So just be sure, rest assured that you're not going to dive the same site twice. The visibility is going to be fantastic. You're going to get a good mix of wall diving. We've got a few wrecks available too. If you guys are into wreck diving, we can take a trip over to the Kittiwake one afternoon. And then the marine life is just really, really healthy as well. COVID was really nice to us because it allowed all of our reefs to relax and take a breather and kind of regroup for a little bit, because we are trying to combat stony tissue coral disease, which I know it affects Florida as well. But our Department of Environment is on top of it. We've got things locked down so that it's not spreading, certain sites obviously, and they're actively combating it with antibiotics and things like that too. So the health of our reefs is really, really important to us, and we hope that you guys value it as much as we do. I'm sure you will. And we're lucky, we're constantly voted one of the world's top dive destinations. And for you guys in Florida, it is really just a hop, skip, and a jump from where you are. So you're going to spend, I don't know, 2 hours traveling at the very most, just to get there. So I'm excited to have you all. So our shore diving at Cobalt Coast, it personally, having lived there and I've dived from shore quite a few times at different spots, the one that we have at Cobalt Coast is one of my favorites. It's a little deceiving at first. When you do get in the water, first you're going to swim over some like a hard pan area and you think, oh, this is terrible. If you do look closely though, there are loads of little macro critters hanging out there. I constantly see little pygmy seahorses and things like that just hidden in that hard pan. But if you swim out about 8 to 10 minutes, obviously depends how fast you swim. I'm more of a leisurely swimmer myself. But 8 to 10 minutes, you're actually going to reach a mini wall. And the mini wall starts at around 35 feet. And it's full of really lush, soft corals, sea fans, loads of schooling fish. It's a really, really beautiful sight. And it drops to around 55 to 60 feet. So it's a really great, healthy, and colorful shore dive. I think you guys will enjoy it. And I'm fingers crossed that the weather cooperates for you and you do get to enjoy it, because like I say, we're on that northwest point. The wind can kind of whip around that corner of the island. So sometimes there are days when the shore diving is just not there. We do have Stingray City as well. It's probably the world's best 12-foot dive, if I can say that. It's just a fun little dive. We all get in the water together, descend to the sandy bottom, and the stingrays really, really love the bubbles of scuba, so it's going to be a very interactive experience. They're going to get up close and personal with you. They're going to brush past your face. They're going to sit on top of your head because they love like the little massage of the bubbles from your scuba. So that's always a fun one to add in if you're looking just for a fun kind of leisurely afternoon. Then we have the Kittiwake. You can see her in the bottom picture there. If it has been a while since you guys have been to the Cayman Islands, you may not be familiar with the Kittiwake. She was scuttled upright in January 2011, but it was great having her upright for a while, but Tropical Storm Nate in 2017 It did not actually directly impact the island, but the swells that we got from it actually made the whole entire boat list on her port side. She broke free of her chains and she settled on her port side, and now she sits at a almost perfect 45-degree angle. She's still fully intact, and you can still explore the wreck itself. She sits in about 65 feet of water, so she's still fairly shallow. And it's a really good one for even kind of newer divers. Because she is sitting so shallow as well, if any of you have any non-diving partners that want to join you on this trip, maybe they can come out and snorkel the Kitty Wake, because she's 251 feet long, so nobody's really gonna miss her. You can definitely see her when you're snorkeling. So here we'll give you a little better idea of where we are located. I don't know if anyone can see my pointer here, but we are at the very north of the island, as you can kind of see here, this tiny little dot. And you can see all the chartered dive sites that we have around us. We work on a mooring system here in the Cayman Islands, so each one of these dive sites is a moored site, which is fantastic. So again, plenty of choice for you guys when you're coming out. So for any people that have non-diving buddies, or maybe you just want to take a break one day, there are some other things to do. You might want to just take a break from boat diving and go shore diving. Or if shopping is your thing, Cayman Bay is a really great shopping area. It's kind of, I guess, what we would call an outdoor shopping mall. It's got that mix of restaurants and shops and kind of things to do. The area also has an observation tower, which is really, really cool because it's the highest point on the island. But as you're walking up the stairs to get to the top of the observation tower, it's a beautiful mosaic, and the scene is actually like as you were coming up from a dive, which is really cool. So you start off like in the depths, dark blue, and then it comes up to the surface, which is really cool. It's all made of mosaic, and it's 3 million little pieces of tile that went into making this incredible scene for the observation tower. So I always think that's a fun little thing to do. See the highest point on the island and see that nice piece of art. The other thing is hell. That is actually a picture of hell on the right-hand side there. Hell on Earth exists in Grand Cayman. You can take a tour, an island tour, and usually it includes a stop at hell. You can send a postcard from hell to your favorite person. And there's a few other attractions that an island tour will kind of take you on. So there's plenty of other things to do when you are not diving. Grand Cayman especially is really big on water sports in general. So if you're into stand-up paddleboarding, jet skis, snorkeling, kayaking, parasailing, all these sorts of things are available in the 7 Mile Beach area, which is just 10 minutes from the resort. So plenty of things to do. So I'll stop talking for 1 minute and I'll show you this little video of Cobalt Coast, and hopefully you'll get a better idea of what it looks like. There is no sound to this. I believe I turned the sound off. It was just music anyway. But that's our lovely pool area.
No, we're not seeing the video.
You're not seeing it? Oh, that's a shame. Well, I will share it in your group Facebook page. How about that? I can go in there and I'll share the video so you get a better idea.
No, I see it.
Oh, you do see it? Okay, well, I'll just let it run. It's a pretty short video. It's probably running a little behind. as with all of my adventures in trying to create beautiful videos, every time I set a date, the weather is pretty rubbish. And I don't have the nice bright weather. This is a very overcast day when we shot these underwater images, but if you've been there, you know how beautiful it is already. So that's our drying room. I should mention all of our meals are served al fresco because we don't actually have an indoor dining room, but it does have coverage if there is any kind of crazy weather out there, so you don't have to worry about that. This is Georgetown, one of the main areas for shopping. There's a few other activities, visiting caves, horse riding, loads of things to do. Okay, I think I have reached the end here. I don't know if you guys have reached the end. I should say be amazed if we're at the end. So if I can forward on. So here's a little bit more information about our trip. Again, the dates are January 8th through the 15th of 2022. The package is 7 nights accommodation. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included. You get your 6 2-tank morning dives, and we've also added in some afternoon dives. We do 5 1-tank afternoon dives. You will get complimentary use of a dive computer if you do not own your own. The reason for this is it is required in the Cayman Islands to have a computer profile when you are diving. Wi-Fi is complimentary across the resort. You will be welcomed with a delicious rum punch. And then our manager's cocktail reception is on a Monday evening. You will meet all your crew. You'll meet Mick, our manager. You'll meet Emma. She is our front of house manager. And you'll just kind of get together and chat with everybody. It's a very small resort, so we like to kind of bring everybody together and swap stories and everything else. So that's included. We will pick you up from the airport and we will take you back to the airport. So your airport ground transfers are included. And all resort fees, taxes, and gratuities are included too. The only thing that is not included is your dive gratuity. That's it. So I have included the rates on here. These are per person based on 2 sharing. And like I say, we do have a few garden view rooms and a few 1-bedrooms set aside for you all. If you have any non-divers, then you take $250 away from that package rate included there for a non-diver spot. And I guess I will hand it over to David now because he is going to be in charge of coordinating everything.
And any questions for Sarah, anybody?
All good.
Okay,
Oh, good.
David.
Hi, everybody. I'm David Levine. If you don't know me, I have Facebook friend you, several of you, so glad to see everybody. Thank you, Sarah, for that great presentation. I really appreciate you spending the time and giving us the overview of the trip. Feel free to contact me at that email address and or the phone number, and I can answer any questions for you in the future. Those of you that are really interested, we do need deposits as soon as possible. So it's a $100 deposit, and you can contact me, and then I can give you the information how to make your deposit. Then we can go from there. I believe we have 2 garden rooms set aside. Am I correct, Sarah?
Yes, we have 2 garden view right now, and we have 3 1-bedrooms available. We're still fairly kind of early on that we can change it as needed. So I don't want to put any restrictions on anybody yet. So.
So again, if you have friends or family that want to join up, that's great.